You know what time it is, people? We back for another good episode of that Delete That podcast. It's your boy P and that
Sugar
guy
Slim,
Duke.
what up, baby? It's your
Boy
boy, Dude.
Duke.
Yeah. Shout out to Sugar Slim, baby.
Sugar
Keep
Slim
it
Beats.
100. Yeah.
Instagram.
The boy, Sugar Slim, man. Shout out, man. Appreciate the love, baby.
What it do,
Boy,
dude?
oh, P, man, I can't call it, baby. You know what I mean? Sure. Decided to be up and running late when you understand me, and just talk a little bit and talk a little shit, you know what I mean? Like we normally do. So, with that being said, we gonna talk about some shit today, Pete. You know what I mean? We gonna get into it. We gonna dive into it, man. Because we've been having some feedback, some phone calls, some private calls, man, and then people just want to be let their truth be heard. So we're gonna speak on some point of views, man. So you guys, welcome out there. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share. But if you got something you want to talk about in private, DM us or call us, man. You could talk about it in private, and we'll share that shit for you, man. But we'll leave it up to the public to comment on it. With that being said, man, it's your boy Do and your boy P.
In the building. And if you can, hit that little button that'll let you know that we're going live when we go live. That way you can follow as soon as we go live. You get that notification bell. Go. You
Yeah,
feel me?
I'm gonna give you a little shout out, P. I'm gonna give you a salute right now because I'm sipping off some of this red, man. You know what I'm talking about?
Man, and my bar closed a couple hours ago, so I can't
We
even drink.
24 hours in New Orleans. Everybody know that. Shit. I mean, huh? It's the party city, baby. It's like Vegas. We never close. You understand me?
No
Vegas
part.
got it from us. Yeah, you know. So, with that being said, man, hey, P, boy, listen, man, it was like we called it, man. It
Just
was,
like we called, nigga.
P, we couldn't have said it no better. Like, I asked you, and you gave your opinion, and I went over what people like to talk about the most, P, is they like to talk about them numbers. They like to talk about what they would call, ah, if we use the technical terms, I done slipped off my chair just to get up into it. You hear me? What we would call the technical terms of analytics. They talked about we talked about the analytics of things because I went in depth and talked about how Ohio did from the first round all the way through, the consistent in their offense, the consistent in their defense. And we talked about Notre Dame, and we talked about the consistent in their defense, but the numbers in their offense was scary to us because they wasn't putting up 28 points all playoffs. And tonight, P, 23, just as I called it, just as you called it. Delete that was on it. Oh, delete that got a serious situation. Yeah.
Man, go ahead,
Oh
get that
my
right.
goodness. Oh my goodness. P, run that shit.
So we number 5, Notre Dame, got beat by Ohio, um, 34-23. Number 6, Ohio, they came in the building, they did their thing. LeBron was in the building. LeBron was chilling, you know what I'm saying? He came back to his alumni. Well, not gonna say alumni, but he came back to represent Ohio, you know what I'm saying? And it was a good game. I can't really say that um, it wasn't exciting. There was a lot of people in the building that took place in Atlanta. So, you know what I mean? You can imagine it was a packed house. Them boys came out there to play, man. Shout out to my boy Ransom. He went out there and did his thing. Quarterback for Ohio. He really did his thing, man. Like, you really can't take nothing away from them boys. You know what I'm saying? They were favored to win. They are now the national champions. So shout out to them boys, man, for doing their thing. It was a wild game. I don't know if you missed it or how you missed it or why you missed it or however you did. If you did, you missed it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Shout out to both of the coaches that showed up, man. You know, they to prepare for some games like this on this level, seeing some of your kids about to leave and things like that. It takes a lot of preparation, especially for coaches to be dealing with younger men before they make it to that pro level. You know what I'm saying? It's real big. You know what I mean? You're getting that transition of boys to men, and they're really coming into their game. You're getting the rawest talent at that level, at that age, and they're doing what they're doing. So, shout out to Ohio, man. Me and Duke called it earlier. We shot a episode earlier today, and we went like you said, the analytics, the numbers, and everything like that. It came out to how we said it was going to be. Very defensive game. You can see that Ohio held them boys down for a little minute. It looks like they got a little bit tired in the third quarter. You know what I mean? So they started putting up a little bit of numbers, and I was anticipating like a comeback. You know what I mean? At a certain point, to where I would have seen the kids, step up and at least within the last 2 minutes, drive down the field. They were down, I think, by 10 points. They could have driven down the field and, made it a comeback, but there was a stop. Ohio took advantage of it, man, and it ended up running the score 34 to 23. So shout out to them young men. I know they're going to have a way crazy tomorrow morning, you know what I mean? So they got to actually, you know, go through the night. They're gonna be through the night tonight and probably can't sleep, man. So shout out to my boy Ransom. You know what I'm saying? Had a chance to meet the young man when we were cutting it to Nike Open, like we mentioned earlier. And the young man was he didn't have all that hair that he has now. So now he grew up to be a grown man. He's coming up out of there, Ohio. I don't know what team he's gonna have. Hopefully he goes high in the pick. I mean the draft. I don't know what pick that he's gonna get, but um, real nice kid. Also has you might see him on the Canes commercial doing his thing. So shout out again to Ransom, man. Um, Another thing, shout out to Ohio, man. You guys played a good game. You know what I mean? Hold your head high, man. Don't trip off of it. You know what I'm saying? For the people that can come back, you only get that one shot. If you didn't make it, at least you made it to this level. You know what I'm saying? So never tilt your head down low, man. Go ahead and continue and to the next level. For those who make it, good luck. For those who didn't, you know what I'm saying? At least you have this memory to stand by. So um, right now, man, we got to go ahead and go into something that we, ran across, decided to talk about. It's a little bit different, man, a little bit of different topic. I wish we had some ladies that could come in. If you are online and you want to call in, we will post the number here down below. You can see what's going on. So if you haven't done it yet, go to our YouTube channel. You can watch it live. If not, you can go to the Instagram, watch it live. Facebook, Twitch. We all connected in those. Tap in, check us out. Let us know what you think. Follow along with the show. The number is right here at the bottom, too, of the ticker. So if you're not paying attention to the numbers, you can call both lines. We'll pick up. If you have anything you want to say about the topic we're about to go through. But um, it's a real delicate type conversation that needs to be had. We were checking into it, and there was a young lady named, I think she goes by the name of, make sure, Angela Stanton. Uh, I never knew her history, didn't know where she came from, what she represented. I just seen her making a statement with one of the comedians, Pierre. Pierre is a comedian from your Def Jam days, been on for a long time, doing it in the game, and he started a podcast, man. And I guess they were having a heated conversation about children and you know having different situations to where trying to prevent women from aborting kids to having a child or making other routes, what I mean, especially if it was a situation where it involved a man that was there, not there, or was raped and different things like that. So we wanted to tap into it. I know it's a very sensitive topic. A lot of people might have had different scenarios. So fellas, if you can relate, ladies, if you can relate, what I mean, we're not here to pick sides. We're just to set the conversation on the table and see what the two sides think about it. You know what I mean? So if you go into this conversation, really prefer for you to be not say neutral, but go on with an open mind. That way, you're not passing judgment or underjudging any situation. I think what I want to do is try to play what was said because I don't wouldn't want anything to get out of pocket or out of context of what I'm saying. So I'm going to start it here from the beginning, and then I'm going to play the video just through the phone momentarily. Let me cue it up for you. Make sure everything is good. So here, turn it.
Men no longer in the family because women are.
Let me start it from the beginning.
Why not? Look at what feminism has done to our families. You just talking about men no longer in the family because women are strong and manly, feeling like they don't need a man no more. How? When they done broke down their sons and got their sons around here talking about they want to be women, the man need to be back in the home. Why did the men leave? They're spineless. Well, maybe because Joe Biden's 94 crime bill. Not about George Biden. I'm just saying we want to talk about Trump all the time, not apologizing for the Central Park Five. Let's talk about Joe Biden not apologizing for the 94 crime bill. He never did. How much you want to pay? In fact, he said, "I'm not going to apologize." Yes, he did. Right. Okay, super predator. All right. Let's keep going. Yeah. So you clean up. I'm going with women can't run the country. No, they can't. Women can barely run their house. You hear that? Yeah. In the comments. Mad about it. I don't care. It's the honest to God truth. I've raised 5 children. If it takes a man and a woman to make a baby, right? Because women don't get pregnant on their own. Okay. Then obviously something should tell us that it should take a man and a woman to balance that child out, to raise that child. Right. That child needs half, 50-50, right? Sure. So we've messed up somewhere along the line. And are we blaming men for leaving? I mean, if hold on, but if I'm a woman, I'm liberated by freedom of choice, right? If I don't want the baby, I get to kill the baby, right? And I get praised for it. But if a man don't want a baby and he walk away, then all of a sudden he a dead man. All of a sudden, wait a minute, hold on. No, they are. They're advocating for. They shouting out their abortion. Look up Oprah Winfrey. Shout out your abortion, and they paying for it. But if a man doesn't want the baby, then he a deadbeater. You get to go lock him up, put him in jail, drag him every month with a child abandonment warrant. The government makes a man be responsible for the life that he creates. What about her? She shouldn't be responsible. If she makes a child, she gets to go kill the baby if she don't want the baby. You don't want to talk about that. What about the father that wants the baby? Right? But she decides she gonna kill the baby just to be spiteful and hurt the father. But we're talking about equality. Killing the baby is killing the baby. You can't pick and choose when it's okay to kill a baby. Hey, hold on. It's not even picking and choosing murder to kill somebody. If you try to kill me, I'm gonna kill you. You're not trying to kill me, I just kill you. Who the baby trying to kill? You can pick and choose a lot of stuff. Who the baby trying to kill? The woman has a right. A woman shouldn't have a right. And if a guy leaves, a black woman shouldn't even want a right to execute her own black baby. First of all, let's go there. Because how you gonna blame white people for white supremacy? What, 99% of abortions are not rape. I know, but the ones that are. Okay, so you're using 1% to justify killing 99% that are just pure. Only 1% of abortions are from rape. Only one still. And you can listen. We hear about abortion all the time. We'll never hear about the rapist. If you can kill the baby, why you can't kill the rapist? Eliminate the rapist. Why are we seeing all these high? Hey, you okay with killing innocent babies that they did nothing? So why we can't kill the person responsible for it? But what you're saying is that child is not deserving of life because of the parent's circumstances. And what I'm saying is everybody that I know was born into a bad circumstance, and over 80% of us are successful. Poverty is not an excuse to terminate black life. Close your legs, swallow, jack, get a dildo, put a condom on. Birth control exists. Like pregnancy can be prevented. There's a reason why they promote promiscuity, right? And they promote abortion the way that they do, because nobody is walking out of the abortion clinic with the baby's remains. Like when we want to get real down and nasty to what's really going on, right?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
We talking about organ harvesting. What are they doing with all of those aborted babies when the woman gets up off of the table and leaves out of the clinic?
What do they do
I don't
with the
know
baby?
one woman that's left out of the abortion clinic where her baby's remains. Right. If you go to the hospital and you have a miscarriage, right? They'll tell you call the funeral home or whatever, they give you the baby's remains. You go, you have a funeral.
I didn't know that either.
What they doing with all of them aborted babies? Why are we putting so much money into abortion? We could be putting that money into pregnancy prevention. If a woman should have a choice to kill the baby when she don't want it, a man should have a choice to abandon the baby when he don't want it. Please, equality. That's what they fighting for. Yeah, all right. Female president.
So, that was a very heated conversation between the two. Um, the views, yeah, as you can see, was going back and forth. You know what I mean? In a situation like that, I've heard comments that said that it's her body, her choice. Um, I hear conversation of people saying that it's the man's responsibility. Um, you also hear that if you both lay in the play, that it's both of you guys' responsibility. So it really depends on who you're asking, which way this conversation can go. And what's the mind state of the person? Have they been involved in something like this? Have they ever had a situation to where they had to negotiate with a woman about having a child and not wanting to have the child? Is there a situation where the woman was in a situation with a man and was wanting to have the child and he didn't want the child, or vice versa? The man wanted the child and the woman didn't. You know, um, you're still kind of like in the balancing being one side or the other. So now we got to ask each other, um, which route would you take? Um, a life is created as soon as fertilization takes place. Once that sperm meets the egg, fertilizes, boom, you have created life. Um, from that point, one has to ask, what gives you the right to get rid of life? What made you make the decision to make a life? And who's responsible for it? Really depends on who you're asking, what you're asking, and what your scenario is. I know that there is a for sure way that needs to be done. And what I mean by that is when you take a man and a woman and you marry, which is totally legal in God's eyes to say, okay, we're going to create a family, right? So once you create the family, you live on to keep producing other families from your offspring, right? So nowadays, in the time that we live in, it's slightly different, no different than it was back in the day. But it gets, as you know, anything that's a problem or with life, it goes on, and it gets either greater or worse. In situations like this, we have a lot of kids that are growing up in a single parent household. Some kids are growing up with both parents. There are different scenarios, tons of different scenarios. I can only speak about me personally tonight because it's a situation that I can say that I've been in, which means I come from a single parent household, excuse me. Born to my mother, she was young of age. This was back in the 70s. I will put my age out there and just know that I have a little conversation that I can talk about from time to time. But um, dad was someone that was, around. Ended up having a child, which was me, and ended up moving from one state to another state within 3 weeks of my birth. Something happened between my two parents that made them say one has to, for the protection of the child, take this child and create another life somewhere else. So in my situation, I grew up in a single parent excuse me, with a grandmother and her children. From there, her children had children. So you can imagine the dynamics of her having a certain amount of children and her children having children. You multiply, right? Those children all were single parent raised that I know of. Right? I know of one dad being in his, around the other dad. Never had a chance to meet because he was related to my dad. My mother was a twin. She had a twin sister. So that dynamic, you're raised in a single parent household. Only person that I seen as male figures was my grandfathers. Right. So I see my great grandfather and I see my grandfather from my mom's dad, basically, my mom's dad. He was a businessman in Houston. He did some movies back in the day. You can check him out on YouTube. Just back in probably the '80s, early '80s, he did some film. He basically was a entrepreneur. Did everything on his own. Made his own money. He showed me when he picked me up and I met him. He was always trying to fill my brain with information. So seeing men was very real rare coming up. I'm watching my grandmother handle everything as a woman. She's working in a hospital in Los Angeles. We living in the middle of Compton, right across the street from Lewis Park on Rosecrans and Bullis. So I grew up there. So before it was the mob, I stayed in the mob. Like the headquarters of the mob when they first opened. So I had an apartment in the mob where they, right now, the first person that occupied them buildings. So I grew up there. Um, Grandmother took care of a lot of the stuff, And I go to Mark Twain in Linwood. My uncle ended up, he's the younger of the four that my grandmother had. He ends up going to Linwood High School. All right. So I'm growing up in that area of town. We move off of Carlin for a little minute down the street from the dairy. That's across Atlantic over in the Compton. So we grew up a little different. I can't say we had the force of a man there, but my grandmother was strong enough to, represent. She was a church going woman. She moved from Kansas City for buying a house, moving to LA, raising her kids. So all I see in my presence are women. Until I go to other family members' houses, I'll see, they might have a dad, a mother in the same household. And it was kind of like a shock to see, and it was rare when I was growing up. And I'm just speaking to me. And I couldn't imagine, because I only know one life, and that's where I got now. Couldn't imagine what my grandmother was doing, how she felt at that time, what kind of stress she was under. But I definitely couldn't imagine not being here. You know what I'm saying? If my mother would have made the option, or she would have gotten influenced by somebody else in the family to get rid of me, I would be talking to you right now. So I believe when two consenting adults make a decision to have a child, right? You go out on a Friday, you go out on a Saturday night, you meet someone, he meets you, everything is good. You got whatever might be involved, maybe liquor, maybe not no liquor, you know what I'm saying? But it's just a night out on the town. You have this, this time out, you meet somebody, this person comes into play. And when you meet this person, you guys might have an intimate setting, right? So it's gonna be very few scenarios that run. Well, you're open and you're gonna be exposed to all the scenarios if you decide to have premarital sex. It's meaning getting married before, having sex before getting married, right? So in a situation like this, it takes two people, consenting people, right? From that consent, you choose to entertain each other this night, right? With that being said, is that you now make a decision to lay down and interact with each other before being in any marital situation. You might not know that person's future. He or she might not know that person's background, upbringing, so on and so on. So now you're in a situation where you guys have just met. Just say that, you guys have intercourse. Of course, that's how two kids are made. Children are made. And you can say two because you can have twins too. But right now, we're just speaking about having a child, right? And bringing this person into play. So when you have this child, we all know It can go multiple ways. You might not see this person, he or she, for months, weeks at a time. You might not have an opportunity to really learn this person in the beginning. And you also might have taken a situation to where you might not just not hit it off. You might have known each other for a week, strong, and boom, somebody disappears, somebody moves, somebody does this, etc. But you're in a situation to where now you have made a kid, right? And it's consenting, so it's not rape. If the guy takes it, then it's rape. If he doesn't, it's consenting, right? But you have made this child 6 week period go by to realize that you've gotten pregnant, right? So in this 6 weeks period, you have to realize that the baby has no say so if he's going to be here or not. You are now able to bear a child. You take your test, you find out that you are pregnant. Once you find out that you are pregnant, you inform the male. At that point, you guys are going to make a decision whether to go forward with the pregnancy, abort the pregnancy, um, adopt, whatever the case may be. 9 times out of 10, that's where everything goes wrong. Because somebody can agree about having this child. Later on, the man can bail out. Later on, the mother can be unfit. The dad can be unfit. You guys can say, hey, you know what? I want to have the child. And the dad's like, I don't even want to do another part of it. It ain't mine. That's very common, right? So we've seen that play out. And the woman can also say, well, no matter what you say, this is my body. And I'm going to do with my body as I please. My body, my decision. So if we can just pause right there are laws recently set into play that says, look, you can't make this type of decision about your body. Um, I think last year, within a couple of months, they made this decision. What I took from that conversation was that women might bear more responsibility, but they make the ultimate decision because it's their body, their choice. I had a discussion that was talking about how would you then make this decision by finding out that you're pregnant. Um, so what happens is, in a situation like this, most times people try to raise the kid together. Someone doesn't show some support, monetary support is needed, and different things of that nature. You know what I mean? And you have to make a decision. And this has been going on since the beginning of the time. So with a situation like that, I believe that the woman has the decision making power in the beginning. And of course, to prevent this, they're within the man and the female. Like I said, this is a balanced conversation. They both have contraceptives they can take, other methods they can use, or they can do the best possible thing. If you are not sure of this man or this woman, abstain from having premarital sex, right? So if we follow that rule, we wouldn't be in a situation right now to where we have to make decisions about all these different children that are growing up without fathers, placing partial blame on the dad or the mother or the government or different entities that may restrict or make it harder for couples to have children. It's known for child support to take place, and some people use it as a fair advantage, and some people use it as a misadvantage. Either way, how it goes is that somebody's not going to get their fair shake, and we see this through means of um, divorce, not even being married, one abandonment. One parent is not showing up for the mother. The other child is that the mother is not responsible as the dad. Both parents missing in some sense of situations. And yes, it does happen. So yeah, you bring a child into the world and both parents are away from the child. It can be for numerous reasons that this type of situation is happening. So listening to this audio, And this audio belongs to Pierre. It doesn't belong to us. We were just playing it back for those purposes. And Mrs. Stanton, it seems like the conversation was switched around. Like she was defending men and he was defending women. So I don't know, if I'm mishearing it or I'm misinterpreting it, but if I would have to say that I had to break down a conversation, the conversation was about women having more power over those decision making times when it comes to a baby because it's her body or choice is what I'm hearing. But I personally believe that, and this is my opinion, that once the seed has been open to allow the sperm to actually fertilize that egg, that's life. And if you have a problem with life at the age of, when I can say the beginning, if you have a problem with loss of life as a 1 year old, 5 year old, 12-year old, or full fledged adult, it's life. That's the way I see it. Scientifically, that's the way scientists see it. And that's the way they label it as life. And I believe that at any given moment, if you can mourn for an adult, you should be able to mourn for a fetus. Know that egg hasn't developed full to show you 9 months of birth on the planet that you can see, feel, smell, and name, but it's life in some form. And who are we to take that life? So I believe that if you can lay down and create that life, there should be some type of leveling power for the simple fact that this life has to, you can, if you can make the life, you should be able to take it. And you should be able to agree upon something that's going to benefit the life of that child that didn't have anything to, he didn't have no request to be here. It was at that moment, he was not old enough, she was not old enough, they were not old enough to make a decision as an egg and a sperm to make a decision on being here. You know what I mean? So, um, my thing is that it should definitely.
Period. Look what feminism has done to this country.
That's what she was calling it, feminism. That's what it was. So
Female president. Why
you
not?
have a situation to where men and women, I think they overlook that part of the baby making process. And they take it for granted because we don't see it. We don't name the baby and know what he or she looks like. So it's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind thing. Um, how do we fix it? I can understand that the woman she is a full body person. She has to carry this child. She has to make sure that her body can maintain continuing life without killing her in some instances. Some of these situations come about through rape. Now, listening through to this, they were saying that 1% of babies are born through rape, right? As a rape victim. And you have, you know, people are getting raped, molested by family members, family members and people that you trust, um, over, parties and things of their different nature. So a lot of different scenarios. So, you know, I wouldn't personally know what to say in that situation because I couldn't understand how it would to be a woman in that situation had to give birth to a baby, right? So then we had to ask, what about the adults that just consent and have children? You know, it's a large percentage of kids that are born without fathers. They are raised by mothers. It's a lower percent of men that are raising kids by themselves. Most of the times I've heard, this is me personally, any man that was raising a child on his own. It was a low percentage that the kid was given to him because something was wrong with the mother, like abuse, drug abuse, alcoholism, and things like that. Some of it's going to come from passing of a parent, you know. So there's going to be different scenarios, but it's a large percentage of women that are left behind with the child, whether they want to keep the child away from the dad, or something happens to the dad, or he's locked up due to things in his life that he's probably not mature enough, or he gets caught up in, or things that might have taken away from his freedom. You know what I mean? So you're locked up for bad decision making. The scenarios vary, and it's been going on from since the beginning of the time. My thing is that right now, what do we do to fix the problem instead of continuing letting it go on? Um, should it be some laws set in place? Should it be some agreements set in place? Because recently, Obama just now, no, excuse me, not Obama. I do take that back. Donald Trump, the new current president of the United States, has passed a law to say that women having child putting the father on child abuse can no longer claim the kids on their taxes. And that was used for a long period of time. Um, women were receiving child support. They were um, then filing the kid on the taxes and not letting the dad claim the child on the taxes. He probably was going back and forth, but that was the main thing that I've known that a lot of dads wasn't able to get that money. Now, some would say that the mother needs all she can get. Some would say that the dad is spending a lot of this money on his own out of it, to take care of the child, whether he likes it or not, if it's court appointed or whatever the case may be, that he should have an opportunity to do this. But I'm looking at this because it all starts at that location where you meet. You know, no one asks you to jump into he or she into a situation where we don't know each other. 9 times out of 10, when you get married, 10 times out of 10, most people date. They meet each other. They go on for months, man. They have this. They take trips. They do a lot of different things to get to know this person. Um, Sometimes it doesn't work that way neither. People meet. They go for years, don't have any children. Some of them have children and go for years and don't get married and stay together. Some of them, they get married. I mean, they have children and don't even see each other. So you have a lot of different scenarios, but the most innocent person every time this thing or this situation, this scenario plays out is the child, whether it's boy, girl, twins, whatever the case may be, multiple children. The children end up suffering more than the adults because you have to worry about clothing this kid, housing this kid, educating this child, protecting this child, feeding this child, so on. It's a lot of things that take place. And I truly believe that if a man lays with a woman, it's designed for those two to give parts of what this dad can do and what the mother can do, put it together and proceed to raise this child. Now, I was in a situation to where my son, I met his mother. We were young. We were both young. We barely knew each other. We just knew each other by name. And I can say it was most the way we met. And I'm saying this with the utmost respect because to this day, her and I are real close. We've never had any problems. But at that age that we have to first tell our parents that we were having children or a child, excuse me, we had to tell our parents this. I had to introduce her to my mom and she had to introduce me to her mom. And at that time, we barely knew each other. So we had to grow together. But I said that to say this is that the main interest of all that's happening was the child. I couldn't judge her by anything. She couldn't judge me by anything. Only thing we knew we can do was represent to be good parents. I never knew her background, what her parent history was. She met my mother like I met her mother. She didn't know what my background, my history was. But the thing about it is that we both laid down and had a child. The child didn't ask to be here. And we made sure that everything we did was for that child. And when I say that, I had to, after graduating high school, make sure that she finished school because it was a goal of mine, it was a goal of hers, it was a goal of ours to make sure that we had an example to set for our child. She finished school, she graduated, I finished school, I graduated. And we did what we had to do for that child. We had to get to know each other. We had to learn each other as if we didn't have a child in place, but we still had to learn each other in case we had a relationship like it was on. So we did it completely backwards in the way it was supposed to go, right? And it worked. By blessings of God, the maturity that she had and my focus, because I didn't have a dad, it all went to that child. So to fast forward to the conversation, when you have interactions with people at a club and you don't know this person, when you lay, you might have to play to lay and end up having a child. Which way would you go with it? Would you then keep the kid or would you want to abort the kid, let the mother raise the kid, whatever the case may be, the child is not asking for it. And we have all these different scenarios on somebody want to place the blame on this person, somebody wants to place the blame on that person. And it's really unfair to the kid, you know what I mean? Um, I need to figure out who this person was, where she, more about her background. But for what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing Pierre and her go back and forth, and he's agreeing with her a little bit, but sometimes he's not agreeing with her. But she's firm on her stance, and I'm firm on if those two people later have a kid, and you two have to raise that kid. I was in a situation where if you didn't want me, then I'm like, I'm cool. Like I'm on my own. And I'm pretty sure that everyone's in that situation. And what I mean by that is that I had a chance to call my pops later on when I grew up, because I grew up without my dad. So when I call him, my mother tells me, she was like, you can go ahead and make that phone call if you want to, but I'm gonna try to tell you it might not turn out too well. I'm like, let me make the call. You know what I'm saying? I want to see my pops. What happened. And I need to see what's cracking. Like, what really happened in this situation. She never once told me the story. She never talked bad about this dude. She never said nothing. Just only that one time I said, you know what? I want to call him. And she made that comment. I don't think you might want to do that. So, pick up the phone. Boom. Hey, can I speak to you? What's his name? I told him his name. I wasn't even disrespectful like that. Remember, I'm a kid. I'm excited. I think I'm finna get through to this nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I make the phone call. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can I go? Oh, yeah. Well, hold on. Let me go get it. I'm like, yeah, it's about to be pop it up for people my pops. And then next thing you know, he gets on the phone. He's like, hello. I'm like, hey, yeah, it's me. This is so and so. He hangs up the phone. I'm like, dang, man, this thing ain't working. Something wrong. Hey, your mama up. The phone ain't working. I need something happened to the phone. She's like, oh, you need me to dial the number again? I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is back at the time when there's no long distance. I mean, long distance is long distance. Ain't no just pick up the phone and call. So you got to put in the number, a little code, and so she come in and do her little, do her thing and stuff. Yeah, hello? Hey, can I speak to Pops? Who is this again? I'd be dang if he asked me the question again, which was wild. Yeah, yeah, who's this? I said, yeah, this is me. It's his son. Hang up. My mom come back in the room, and I promise you, at that moment, I knew what it was. It was somebody that didn't want me, so I couldn't want him back. And I was willing to give him his fair shot. My mom's walked in there. She looked at me. She like, "Hey, what happened?" I said, "You was right. It was what it was," and that was it. I'm in probably 10th grade, maybe, right? Yeah, 11th grade, 10th, 11th grade. So I've been in the streets. I've been learned certain lessons in life. I've been raised and do this. Mom showed me how to cook, clean, do a house, whatever I needed to do to be a man on my own. I'm having my son at this moment. And my thing is now I need to quit the football team. I couldn't even play football 12th grade. I got to go to cut the coach at the Paramount High School and tell the homies that I can't ball on the defense with y'all because I got things to do. So at that time, the coach goes back and tells one of my cousins that's that he was a star player at the time. They're gonna tell him his mother. Oh yeah, he that boy doing crack. And I promise you, Auntie was like, "What? Do you know him like that? You really think this teenage kid that's coming to school, so good grades, has a car, doing all this thing, is doing dope? This kid right here." He says yes to try to take me from since I didn't want to play, being with my cousin that was playing ball. You feel me? So I took that as a bump on the head, like, okay, yeah, that made me stronger, more determined, because now I know I'm doing something right. So yeah, I had to sacrifice at that moment. My dad didn't want me, but I knew that I was going to take what he didn't want and apply it to something that I wanted if I had to make that decision. So now I'm 17, right? I'm working at Discovery Zone in Downey, California. I'm leaving school. I had to go change my schedule. They really mad now. The coach is really mad. I got to change my schedule back because he got me a schedule. I got to walk through certain hoods to get where I need to get to catch the bus to Downey. You know what I mean? So I'm standing on the bus stop, just pulling up, disrespecting, acting crazy. But I know I'm determined enough to go to this job to take care of my son, right? Because I'm all he got. I just met his mother. I don't know what she can do. She can bail out. She can put me out. She can put me on child support. She can leave. She can abort. I had to trust in her, you know what I mean? To make sure that this decision was going to be made to have my son. So I go work. I get the job. I ended up getting in trouble, catching the case. So was my mom a good mom? Yeah, she was a good mom. But she couldn't control me being a youth. I didn't have that dad to balance me back in and say, hey, you know what I mean? Focus. My grandfather had died. All my grandfathers gone. I got uncles. My uncles, they young. They playing the field. They out there trying to get girls. I'm on Crenshaw with these crazy fools. 2, 3 in the morning. Have to go to school the next morning. You know what I mean? On a Sunday or Saturday. Yeah, Sunday evening. Venice and going and getting back to school and trying to stay focused. You know what I mean? So I didn't have no dad to push me in. I got young cousins, young homies. I'm caught up in the mix and everything. But I had this mother. I had this grandmother. She is now married, so I have a new grandfather that comes into the picture. I can't really, let him. I can take his advice because he never showed me disrespect. You know what I mean? He treated my grandmother. He showed me an example in later time, but it wasn't like having a dad in your home. You know what I'm saying? My real grandfather's and them gone. I know this, but I just know that I got to take care of this kid. You know what I mean? And this kid is coming out. The coach is saying I'm doing drugs. I don't in high school, I don't even know where to get no crap. I'm not doing no drugs, nothing like that in the next. I'm not drinking it probably to prom night when we done drunk some wine coolers, got a little drink, and probably smoked some weed for the first time. You know what I mean? That's celebrating coming out of high school. That's what we thought it was. We think we grown men. But I knew I had to take care of this child. So to fast forward now, um, by the blessings of God, me and his mother are still cool to this day. She can call me, I can call her. We ain't having no bad blood. We ended up raising a child that was graduating high school, ended up going to college, barber college, getting his barber license, doing what he had to do. Now he is a successful young man. He brought us forth a grandbaby, right? So now I'm getting to see my offspring and all that stuff. But I am one of the rare cases that have made it to this point. A large percentage of young black men that are raised by their mother tend to end up in jail. A large percentage of young kids without a father in the household, daughters end up pregnant or not completing high school. This is a large percentile. I don't know about the other communities, but I know in the black community we are losing our children by that number. Now we have new violence, we have new music, drill music that these kids are following these different examples because a lot of the dads are not at home. So now they're more feminine. They can't control their anger. They don't know what it is to respect a woman. You know what I mean? And a lot of our young ladies, I ain't gonna just get on our men, but a lot of our young ladies now are exposing themselves on video, rap songs. The rap community is taking over for them. So on both sides, something is missing. We're missing the dad in the household. We're missing either the mother or together to raise these kids on a 50-50 level. We're missing that. So by us missing that, we are breeding generation of kids without fathers and mothers' relationship are good examples of what black men and black women should be. In my days, women dressed different. I'm not saying that men should control that, but they had a respect for themselves. It wasn't what the man was telling them men wanted to wear or what the man was doing all this. It was a lot of things that were different. The women carried themselves different, and men, they carried themselves different accordingly. So we had examples on how this stuff is supposed to go. So fast forward to 2025. Where are we now? You can turn on TV, you can see nudity at every point. From right now, it used to be you had to get the blurry TV and you couldn't see the squiggly lines and they had porn on TV. The only thing you might see is a chin here and you thought you saw a nipple. You know what I mean? But you didn't have access. But now, this little device right here gives children everything, access to everything real fast. And it's a different world out there than what we grew up in. Some of them are not making it to see the age of 20. They're not coming out of their teens. Yes, did we have it back in the day? Yes. But the point of the story that I'm making is those children did not ask to be here. We've heard this before. We're making decisions on a Friday or a Saturday night. Sometimes drunken decisions, sometimes drug-filled decisions, sometimes sober decisions. But we're making these decisions as men and women to lay down in the situations to have children, to fake the reality of having a family, not getting to know a person, not getting to understand what type of situation that you can bring towards this kid and what the turnout might be. So in this situations like this, all we should be asking, all I ask, or if we can come together, if you can spread this show from this podcast, Delete That podcast, and share this information. Give this information to somebody. Have the conversation. You know what I mean? Don't preach it to them, but teach it to them. Make sure that we can now have the conversation and probably help the next person make better decisions, older adults, younger adults. But life is life. And the moment you say you want to get rid of life and or this, but you're not respecting the delicacy of life. It takes a lot. It takes a miracle for some people to have children. It takes a lot for people to have children. Make sure that when you're making these decisions on these late nights and you're doing things like this, that it's the right decision. You know what I mean? Try to have a better relationship with people. Try to make sure that you figure out who or what this person is. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna end it with that. And that was the subject for our show tonight. I want to thank you for coming to the Delete That podcast, man. If you can, make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Definitely, I want to give a word of encouragement, like we always do. Stay prayed up, stay safe out there. Make sure that you show somebody some love again. Make sure that somebody shows some love. You're not looking to receive it. You're willing to give it out. You know what I mean? Somebody needs to talk to you, man. Chop it up with them, and make sure that these situations can be minimized. Hopefully, in the future, kings and queens that may develop, grow, and become something great. You know what I mean? So that being said, man, shout out to Sugar Slim. Sugar Slim for all your beats, your commercials, your needs, whatever you need. Intros, outros, hip hop music, R&B. Make sure you holler at your boy Sugar Slim, man. Sugar Slim will definitely get you in the building. And that's Sugar Slim Beats on Instagram. Sugar Slim Beats on IG. Let them know that Delete That podcast sent you. You know what I mean? You don't need no special code, Delete That, or nothing like that. Just tell them Delete That podcast sent you. You're going to know it comes from your boy Do and that boy Pete, man. We in the building, man. We want to say peace, stay free, sucker free. We out.